All right. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to another season of the Heromakers Podcast. It's Ann. We are in season 2 now, and we're in a new year. So this is like two things that we need to be like joyful and excited about, right? Are you excited about either?
Oh, yeah. I'm so proud of us, Laurie. I
Yeah.
can't believe it. Yeah.
Right? We had 28 episodes in season 1, and we have some great people lined up for this season. So I'm very excited. And we are in the new year. And there is snow on the ground because now we're officially in January. So we have hit the outside sports. So we're doing like all the sledding, and my son cracked his sled the other day because he was going so fast down the icy hill that it apparently cracked. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Is it very snowy up where in Toronto as well?
No, it's all melted.
Oh no.
Yeah. So now it's just brown.
Now it's just brown and ugly. Oh, it'll come back. And I think this is the winter of snow. Like last year wasn't, but I feel good about this year. So so you guys, thanks for joining us again for the podcast. And we had a couple weeks off there, and we tried to recoup as much as we could, but Ann and I were both kind of working on other projects and doing other things. So, but we missed you guys. And Ann, I am very excited about our guest today, which Ann, you're actually the one who mentioned Gurdeep to me. And so we are going north, not quite to the North Pole, but we're going to the Yukon, which I'm very excited because I've never been to the Yukon. So I want to hear all about the Yukon. But I want to welcome Gurdeep Pandher to the podcast. Welcome, Gurdeep.
Thank you so much, Laurie, and thank you so much, Anne,
and
for inviting
Ann
me.
is a fangirl. Yeah.
And I'm so honored, and it's so wonderful to be here with you folks.
This is amazing. And Gurdeep was showing us before we hopped on the podcast that behind him is blackness. So like we're actually in the day, but he's so far north that it's black up there and it's dark, but you love it anyways, Gurdeep. So let me introduce you. So Gurdeep is an artist and author, and just loving Yukon. You originally grew up in Pandahar, India. And so you're going to tell us about how you got to the Yukon, and you have just an amazing joy and kind of zest for life is what I would call it. And so we're going to highly encourage people to hop on your website and to take some of your classes. So what maybe we're going to talk about a little bit is one of the things that you do is called Bhangra dancing, right? It's like a form of movement. And I have never heard of that, Gurdeep. And so I'm excited to just learn more about it and to just find out where your joy comes from as well. So Gurdeep, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and kind of your growing up, and then kind of your journey to the arts and all that good stuff.
So my name is Gurdeep Pandher, and my journey started from my village. It's called Siad, which is located in Punjab. It's a small village where I was born and grew up on farm. Very simple and ordinary life where there was no modern technology at that time. But that was a wonderful thing to have all homemade food, all food grown at our farm. Life was so much pretty sustainable. We actually barely went to any store to buy anything. Everything was made at farm. So I lived very organic and life, although it was super simple, but it was to fullest in the village, away from the chaos of the world. So growing up there, it was amazing. So then after my schooling, I went to university and did all that stuff. And then when I was actually in university, people started talking about Canada. So that's how the first seeds of coming to Canada was sown. So I became interested for many reasons. So then I applied for immigration to Canada, and luckily, although I hear many sad immigration stories, but in my case, it went so smoothly, so well. In I think 3 or 4 months, everything was done. And in 2006, I ended up coming into Canada. And first, I was in BC. I started my life from Squamish, BC. Uh,
Perfect.
Squamish is a beautiful place close to Whistler. So actually, I was working in Whistler in a tourism organization, um, like sort of working as a tourist guide. Uh,
And so, Gurdeep, can I just ask real quick? Did you just want some adventure, or like, why did you decide to go to Canada?
um, yeah, like I wanted to experience something different. I wanted to learn more about the world. As university students, we used to talk about the world, different things in happening in the world. So Canada always used to be kind of center of discussions, especially we know that Canada as a country is a peaceful country. Although we have been into wars, but mostly we have been into like peacekeeping missions.
Mm.
Um, uh, and also it's vast, like such a beautiful nature everywhere, mountains and people. Uh, so and and I became curious to explore Western world, and uh, and then I thought that Canada would be a great place to do that because. Um, and a lot of people from our community, from our Punjabi or Sikh community, they are settled in Canada. So it was not 100% new. So already had some relatives here. So I had heard a lot about it before. Um, so all that combination of all that things, they brought me to Canada. So I'm so happy to be here.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what? And then what happened from there? From the tourist industry, you were working in the tourist industry.
So I lived in BC area in Squamish for 40 years. Then I moved to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, it was amazing to be in Saskatchewan because if you go to Saskatchewan, it looks like Punjab. Because in Punjab, we grow a lot of wheat crop. And in Saskatchewan, people grow a lot of wheat crop. And everything, it was looking so familiar to me that, hey, I'm kind of in Canada's Punjab.
That's amazing. Can I just say, we joke that Saskatchewan is Canada's breadbasket. So shout out to all those people living in Saskatchewan. Wow.
So when I was in Saskatchewan, I was always curious to go to different communities. I lived in different villages like Edam, North Battleford, Lloydminster, Turtle Ford. Even people have not heard names of those villages. It was amazing to meet people from the communities, just to be part in their lives, in their weddings, in their celebration, just to learn about things. And when I was in Saskatchewan, I became Canadian citizen.
Yay!
It was in 2011, actually 10 years ago, when I became Canadian, and I was in Saskatchewan. So when I became Canadian citizen, it was pretty much transformative for me. Like, in some countries, if you become a citizen of Canada, if you come from countries like Germany and other countries, you can retain citizenship of your previous country. But if you come from countries like India, to become a citizen of another country, you'll have to quit citizenship of your previous country. So not only I was becoming a Canadian, I was also quitting my other citizenship as well. So it was not for me like becoming 50% Canadian. It was for me becoming 100% Canadian.
Yeah.
So which was brought sort of mixed feeling in me, although I was excited too, but it was, oh my God. So that moment inspired me to learn many things about Canada. I thought that, oh, okay, if I decided to become Canadian, then I should learn more about Canada. So that increased my curiosity a lot more to travel Canada, to meet people here, to learn about different cultures, different customs. So on that day, when I became Canadian, I decided to travel across Canada. So I made road trips to everywhere in Canada. Like from Saskatchewan, I went to Vancouver. I already knew about Vancouver, but I went again. I went to Toronto. I went to Quebec. I went to North. I actually went to all directions, all four directions, and I did road travels. I didn't fly. I thought that it will be great just to drive through Canada and just to meet people, just to learn. And during my those travels, I meet amazing Canadian cultures, like cultures who are living in Canada. It was so much wonderful to learn about them. I went to many indigenous communities as well, met so many people, met elders, met chiefs. Uh, um, so, a- and that was quite eye-opening for me, because before that, I just knew that Canada has these type of people. But I learned that actually Canada is made of so many hundreds of countries.
Mm.
And hundreds of cultures are living in Canada. And not only hundreds of cultures, even I learned that in one culture, there are many sub or micro cultures as well. Like if you go to one culture, like it doesn't mean that you are entering into one cultures. Then you start to understand that, hey, there are, in this culture, there is this group, this group, this group. And that was so fascinating that, oh my God, actually, we have so much diversity in our country. And sometimes when we see from a big picture, we don't see that. But when we go deeper, then we learn. So that was very fascinating for me. So during those travels, I ended up coming to the Yukon. Yukon actually was my last trip. I decided that, oh, I have gone to everywhere. Let's go to the Yukon now. So when I came to the Yukon, I was amazed by the beauty of this place. It was like a big, vast land, open land, and people here were so friendly. In very many, I didn't, before I came to the Yukon, I didn't know anyone in the Yukon. It was totally new for me. But in very first day, I started knowing so many people here. Very first night, I went into a party here. So I was very touched by like this sort of warmth or hospitality. Because being from a small village in Punjab, um, I'm kind of like used to it, like knowing people, being with people. Because in my village, everybody just know each other. Not only know each other, they also know relatives of each other. So I liked in the Yukon that where there's such a big people connection here, which I didn't find in bigger cities, although bigger cities are great from other perspectives. Uh, so I decided to stay in the Yukon, and here is almost 10 years now that I'm in this big open vast land, which is also known as the land of midnight sun.
So Gurdeep, is in the Yukon, are there a lot of people like you who will move to that area, or is it a lot of people grow up there and then they stay there?
Most of people have been moved to the Yukon. And most of people who came to the Yukon, they are very like adventurous, very unique people. Like who would like to come to the Yukon in the remote? Like people only come either for exploration or traveling, or maybe for work too. A lot of people come here for work as well. Just with a different mindset to explore the North, just to learn about this big Arctic land. Like we also sometimes call north of 60. Here I met a lot of people with different talents, with different type of art genres, with the different uh, perspectives. Although we don't have a big population, only 40,000 people live in the whole Yukon. So which means that we were already isolated before the pandemic. But here, despite these big physical gaps, people are very much mentally and socially connected.
Yeah. So, Gurdeep, what I love about what you're saying is that on the Hero Makers here last last season we talked a couple times about learning and the importance of like really diving into a topic, and like that's the way that we can kind of step into certain issues. So I love that you are like, one, you just seem to have this love of country, which is quite impressive. And because a lot of people, I think they take for granted, like where they live or the freedoms that they have or whatever it is, right? And so like you have this like love, you could just hear it in your voice where you like love Canada. Like you embrace your country so much so you took this road trip, and then you kind of dived in and did all this learning, which led to you meeting all of these different types of people, which led to your like this worldview that now it's like I would call, at least from what I've observed on your website and watching some videos, I would call kind of a foundation stone of your worldview of diversity and inclusion, right? So talk to us about the intersection of like really learning and engaging with people, and then how that can help us to be more inclusive and more open in our worldview.
Oh, thank you very much for asking me this question. I think this is very important. So yeah, when I was going to different communities or cultures in Canada, one thing I learned that although those cultures are amazing, but one thing I found that which was missing, that there was not enough efforts made in all of the cultures, all sorts of people, to learn about other people. Although there were some people who had that sort of leanings, but they were like small in numbers. They were not big in numbers. They may be just one person out of 1,000, maybe from 10,000. So that kind of inspired me that that hey, if we need to build bridges, what we need to do, we need to learn about other type of folks. If we just lived our whole life in one culture which we belong to, there's nothing wrong in loving your culture. I feel that, hey, I'm proud of being Punjabi, I'm proud of being Sikh. That is awesome. That is great. Feel proud of who you are. Feel proud of your background. That is awesome. But also make some effort to learn about people from other backgrounds, from other cultures, from other nations, because everybody is coming from an excellent background, an excellent like culture. So I decided that I will do something like that. I will go to different cultures. I won't care which group or culture it is. I will just dive into and I would learn about it, and I will probably do some dancing videos with them as well. So that's what I did. I made my dance videos with different cultures, which includes all sort of cultures, whether they are indigenous cultures or whether they are other Canadian mainstream cultures, whether they are coming from cultures from other immigrant communities, like like uh, like like that gives me a bigger perspective of seeing the world as a people point of view, from human point of view. Because the thing is that, like, when we don't step outside of our comfort zone, and when we are so used to live in on own boundaries or own walls, what happens that we start to fear from people from other types who look different than us. Even if we don't fear from them, but we may have some prejudices, we may have some biases. Like, it's human nature. If we don't know someone, we just want to stay away. No, 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 no. But if we are just friends with them, we just remove those sort of prejudices, remove those type of biases. So it's a great way to, and as in 2020 we talked a lot about racism and a lot about uh, we had a big moment like Black Lives Matter. That was an eye-opening tool, that what we need to do to end that, we need to sit with other type of folks. We need to go to their families, or we need to invite them to our families so that we can build those type of friendships. You know, like when we have even one friend from a different culture, we start to love the whole culture. That's what I learned about it. Uh, like, uh, we don't need to meet like every single person from that culture. Like, just try to meet at least one person from every culture. Like, it will just expand your whole love for the whole culture. Like, sometimes we say that, hey, I love food from this country or this nation, although we didn't go to all the restaurants, all the families. We probably have been to one or two, but it expanded our world, our vision for everyone, for the whole land, for the whole culture. So that's the way to go. That's the way to build very solid bridges. And when we learn about other people, then we realize one important thing, that hey, actually there's no difference between our people and those people. Because on the surface everybody looks different, because the people from different culture, they may have a different skin color, they may have a different style of clothing. um, but when we go deeper, when we learn about their dreams or feelings or visions, we realize that hey, my dreams, my fears, my concerns, my hopes, they have the same.
Thank you so much for what you're saying, because I feel like you're saying just open your heart up just like a little bit to a person. I mean, when you are in a relationship or have a friendship with somebody, you're naturally want to get to know them on a deeper level, which is totally perfect. And so I just want to say thanks for adopting Canada as your country. I think we are better because you are here with us. And so I just want to say thanks. Like, so glad. And then I don't know if you checked out our website, but Laurie has outlined 9 different traits of a hero. And I really believe that you are exhibiting the trait of empathy, which is so huge, because like when you get to know somebody, then you create empathy for that person. You like start to understand and actually almost start to feel with them. Like when they're happy, you're happy. When they're suffering, you're suffering too. So it's kind of like your lives kind of come together in a really beautiful way. And you're not separate now. You're not isolated. You're now together. So I just want to really say thanks. I really feel like you do that in a really very generous way.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, I agree with your conclusion that when we know about people, then we become empathetic about their feelings. If they are going through a rough time or tough time, then we feel about them. If they are going through some successes or victories, then we celebrate with them. It creates a same feeling. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
So I kind of want to let you tell everybody what you're even doing in Yukon, because I think that's even really like what you're doing is even diving even more into a people group.
Yeah, in the Yukon, I have like Yukon has become sort of my headquarters of what I have been doing, because Yukon is the place where I lived most of my life in Canada. Uh, so in the Yukon, I first started teaching dance to a couple of people. That's how it started. Then more people started joining. And I taught classes at community center. There was a Francophone Association building. There was a church here. Uh, and people started inviting me to their different programs, events that very quickly helped me learning about people from almost the whole territory, because I ended up also going to the other communities, like which is like Dawson City, which is very wonderful, also known in the world due to that gold rush. Uh, and over there, I did community dancing. Taught people how to dance Bhangra. I was so glad that everybody jumped in. So when I was in Old Crow, even the chief of that indigenous First Nation government, he joined with me and we danced Bhangra together. Many elders came to dance with me. Like, like, like Old Crow is a very great example of Old Crow Yukon. Probably most of your listeners, they don't know about Old Crow. Old Crow is not accessible via road. You will have to either fly, or in summertime you'll have to either boat. So which means that it's very physically disconnected community. Uh, so in such a community, when you bring such a dance, you build such a bridge, which I find it so fantastic. I find it so wonderful. Like nobody even had heard about this Bhangra thing before. Uh, and and I have my personal experience when I was there for very first time, and people were looking at me. They thought that who is this person? Probably an unknown or stranger. Probably in rest of the Yukon, people knew me, but not in old group. So then after I did my first workshop, thanks to Wanted Gwechen First Nation over there, who helped organize me this workshop. And then people became so familiar of me. I noticed that even if I was walking in the streets, and even elders, they will come in front of, they will start dancing with me. And it didn't take months or years. It took just one Bhangra session to break that barrier, right?
Wow.
It was so easy, although it takes effort. But it's doable in such a good and in a quick way as well. All you just need to open your heart, and the people will open your heart as well. So my adventures in the Yukon, then I did a video with the mayor of Whitehorse, teaching him how to wear a Sikh turban and also dance Bhangra. And that video went viral. And even that video was broadcasted by BBC News. I think on BBC around 12 million people watched that video. And interestingly, that video was posted by BBC, I think, on the same day when there was a transfer of power was going in the US, in your country, in 2017. And there was a lot more views on my video, which BBC News posted, than that transfer of power video on BBC News. Can you believe it?
Wow.
So
I think it's because of the joy.
Yeah, many people just chose to watch this dance video, Mayor and this random person from the Yukon dancing together.
So Gurdeep, can you explain to us about Bhangra dancing? I mean, I think, Ann just said that word joy. And so I'm watching your videos, and that's the word that comes to mind. And any of you guys listening, watch some of Gurdeep's videos, and it's like you're smiling. You have this huge smile on your face. You just look like you're having the time of your life in this dance. So tell us about, like, is that the whole origin of the dance? Is it meant to be joyful and kind of free flowing? Or talk to us a little bit about this type of dance.
Yes, Laurie. It is happy dance. So Bhangra as a dance form, it was a long time ago created by Punjabi or Sikh farmers. A long time ago, when farming was manual, it was tough, and it was boring as well. So those farmers, they created these moves to add fun and entertainment into their agricultural activities. That's how it started. Even Bhangra moves, they show different sort of agriculture or farming activities. Like, for example, like doing this move, it shows that people are sowing seeds in the land. So even after harvesting their crops, they used to dance Bhangra, especially in the month of April, which is Vaisakhi month, which is also celebrated as a Sikh history month in Canada as well. So Vaisakhi Bhangra was very important. So because Bhangra was created by farmers to be happy, yes, of course, this is happy dance, this is joyful dance, this is a positive dance. And nowadays, people dance this in weddings, in parties, in all type of happy social gatherings. Even people go to some Bhangra session to get workouts, because Bhangra is also a great physical effort. It's a great physical workout. If you don't want to go to gym, you can go to a Bhangra session as well. And and even after 1 hour of Bhangra dance activities, you will end up burning 500-600 calories. So it's
Well, I was actually going to say that it does look like a workout, like an exercise that people could do. But okay, so, and I have to admit, so Gurdeep, let me just be honest here a second. So when I think of Sikhs, I don't think of happy dances. Like, you're kind of like blowing my mind right now, like in terms of my own maybe stereotypes of what I think of Sikhs. So talk to us about, like, this coming out of like that, the Sikh culture, even like you said, it was rural, kind of rural farmers. But what is the intersection between like the Sikh, kind of your worldview, and then also kind of like this happy, joyful levity? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, the thing is that in our culture, like almost everyone dance Bhangra. If they are not perfect, their dancers, they know somewhat how to dance Bhangra.
Hmm.
Like when we think about a Western worldview about anything that comes about, especially from which is coming from the East, countries like Asia, is coming mostly through media lens, media perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What images we see in media, we just start to think in that way. But to have an actual worldview about something, we'll have to go there, we'll have to visit them, we will have to meet them. For example, I went to my village 2-3 times after I came to Canada, and several friends from here, Yukon, they also traveled with me to visit my village. And after visiting, and they started telling me that it changed their whole perspective, how they knew about people. So in our culture, like, people are mostly joyful, happy, and they dance Bhangra. Although I would say that Sikh as a religion, Sikh as a culture, these are two different things. A religion, like any religion, it's different. But when we see from a cultural point of view, it's different. Like, I would say that Bhangra is part of our culture, not part of our religion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference.
Yep.
So I would say that I would encourage people who live in Western world that not read what is written in those stories in newspapers or magazines. Try to meet people. Try to, if you can, visit them, or especially go to where they are coming from. Then it'll change your whole perspective. So I'm not surprised that you have had that sort of perspective, because like most of people living in North America, information is coming from that lens. So yeah, our culture, like all cultures in the world, is like happy, joyful dancing, celebrate, just find kindness in people and do random acts of kindness. So it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that I think that you're such a role model on so many aspects of who you are. And I really appreciate that you are so honest and open with your culture, your worldview, and your joy, and that you spread that. So I just want to ask you to talk about what gave you the idea of like hosting Bhangra classes on Zoom during the pandemic? Because I'm going to say, I was one of those people that needed to hit the gym. I couldn't. And then your idea of like joining these classes where I could learn about another culture, I could get some exercise, and then also hopefully give and receive joy to each other. And all the people who joined, can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, after this pandemic started, like everyone, I had to also stop my in-person classes. Then people started telling me, hey, started online classes. I was reluctant in the beginning because I never did online classes before, but I started because I had to. So when I started in my very first class, Anne also came. In the very first class. And she also brought 70 people.
Good job, Anne.
70 people were in my class, and from coast to coast of Canada. I was so surprised. There may be 2-3 people from the US as well, but they were mostly people from Canada. So that was because very first class I just hosted just to see how it goes. So when I saw such a wonderful positive response, and I decided to continue it, which it continued until this date. And during my classes, like online classes time, I was able to teach Bhangra to maybe, I think, I don't have exact numbers with me, on estimate around 5,000 Canadians, uh,
Wow.
which I find that which could be maybe 5% Americans as well, because I always see some people coming from the other side of the border as well, which is awesome. And not only this, I was also raising funds from uh, uh, different institutions which are working for COVID or mental health associations. For example, I donated money to Yukon Hospital Foundation, and I also donated money to
Mm.
Care Canada, that organization which also supports COVID patients. So I was happy about the whole experience that people who were staying in isolation or could not meet other people because of all those restrictions, they were able to join the classes and do some fun dancing, learn about the culture, and take away so many things.
So Gurdeep, I'm going to increase your 5% number there because you have an event coming up in like what you said, 10 days. I'd like for you to tell us all about, because I plan on attending. And Gurdeep, I am going to invite some of my friends and we're going to do it. And then we're going to like talk about how amazing it was after. So, because I think, as we enter 2021, I just think starting it out on a note of joy, and a note on just like celebrating, like, that we made it a year. And I just think it's a great way to start the year. So tell us about the event that's coming up in a couple of weeks, where we can find it, and then when it is, and what'll happen. What was your plan with it?
So on Saturday, January 16th, evening time, we are hosting a virtual Bhangra concert in which some of my students will be dancing. I will be dancing. And we will also be collaborating some other cultures to make it more like a cross-cultural show. And yeah, it will be dancing. There will be bagpipers. There will be Irish dancing. There will be Highland dancing as well. There will be some indigenous friends. So and there will also be some youth dancing in the show, mostly from the Yukon. So that's what we are doing, and to find information, people can visit my website, which is gurdeep.ca, GURDEEP.ca, and it's a pay what you can event starting with the minimum of $5. So yeah, people can visit the website and they can get their ticket from there.
I think it's an amazing idea, Gurdeep. And I think it's amazing that you can have a website that's just your first name. I think that's how you know you've made it. You're just Gurdeep. That's it. So we'll post more information about that event on January 16th, but I would encourage everybody to check that out and to attend. And I'm really excited about that. And then Ann, I can maybe jump into your fangirl club, and we can just be excited about what Gurdeep is doing together. So
I'm the president and I accept you as our newest member.
It's the only way I'm becoming Canadian, I guess, because nobody's letting me through the border. So, Gurdeep, thanks for being on the podcast with us. Can you give us just a quick closing thought on just a note of encouragement for people as we enter this new year?
All I would like to say that we live in a wonderful world, but we'll have to make efforts to learn about that beauty. Be friends with all sort of people. Try to learn their life. Try to learn about their experiences. Be kind. Be generous. Do some random acts of kindness, and also seek some adventures. Be happy. Be positive. Don't pick up the negativity because it's easy to pick up, but we can easily focus on positivity. That's what I would like to say.
That's right. Yeah. And if you can do that up in Yukon where you're getting 3 hours of sunlight a day, then we can do it down here where we're getting 10 or 12. And really, if you guys need to find a little bit of joy, head on over to Gurdeep's website, and it's just full of great videos and pictures of Gurdeep smiling and dancing and interacting with a bunch of different kind of people. And it's just really a great picture of the global family that we are. So thanks for joining us for another episode of the Heromakers Podcast. I hope you guys loved it. Tell your friends, share this around, like us wherever you listen to your podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for Anne and Laurie for inviting me.